You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title, so you knew that I had to do some disclaimers at the start. Here's what this video is not. This video is not a statement on the currently ongoing genocide of Palestinians that is going on in Gaza right now. It is also not a statement on the Hamas-led terrorist attack of October 7th, 2023. This video is about neither of those things. And a second thing that I want to say at the start of this video is that I am taking clips from a YouTube short posted by Catholic apologist Jesus and Whatnot. I think that I'm like at least a decade older than Mr. Jesus and Whatnot, so part of me thinks it's kind of uncool that I'm responding to him in this way. But let me say a few things. Number one, I'd love to have him on the show if he ever wants to talk these things through. And number two, he's not the only apologist who has made videos like this. Joe Heschmeyer has made similar videos. So has Taylor Marshall. But it was watching Jesus and Whatnot's video that inspired me to make this script. So I will be quoting that YouTube short in this video response. Okay, let's jump into it.
Here is something that most Protestants don't know. Martin Luther was the main catalyst for the Protestant Reformation in 1517. He's often seen by Protestants as the hero of Christianity. However, some of his writings are not exactly what you would expect a hero to write down.
If you think that Luther wrote down some things that today we would find unsavory, wait until you hear about the things that canonized Catholic saints and infallible church councils have said.
In his book, The Jews and Their Lies, Luther blames Jewish people for the death of Jesus Christ. He says that because of this, Christians should burn down synagogues, Jewish homes, and Jewish businesses, that we should take away their religious books and prohibit them from teaching in public.
If you think it's so weird for a Protestant hero to be so blatantly anti-Semitic, shall we check out those who inspired Luther? How about the Fourth Lateran Council, which occurred in the early 13th century, over 250 years before Luther was even born? Canons 67 to 70 all concern Jewish people. Canon 67 makes it clear that Jews still have to pay the Catholic Church because, really, Jews are just taking Christian money anyway. Jews shall be compelled to make satisfaction to churches for tithes and offerings due to the churches, which the churches were accustomed to receive from Christians for houses and other possessions, before they passed by whatever title to the Jews, so that the churches may thus be preserved from loss. Canon 68 might sound familiar to anyone who knows anything about 1930s Germany. A difference of dress distinguishes Jews or Saracens from Christians in some provinces, but in others a certain confusion has developed so that they are indistinguishable. Whence it sometimes happens that, by mistake, Christians join with Jewish or Saracen women, and Jews or Saracens with Christian women. In order that the offense of such a damnable mixing may not spread further, under the excuse of a mistake of this kind, we decree that such persons of either sex, in every Christian province and at all times, are to be distinguished in public from other people by the character of their dress, seeing moreover that this was enjoined upon them by Moses himself, as we read. They shall not appear in public at all on the days of lamentation and on Passion Sunday, because some of them on such days, as we have heard, do not blush to parade in very ornate dress and are not afraid to mock the Christians who are presenting a memorial of the most sacred passion and are displaying signs of grief. So, it's illegal to not be sad about Jesus dying if you live in a Christian country. That's what Canon 68 was saying. Canon 69 says that Jews can't hold positions of government. It would be too absurd for a blasphemer of Christ to exercise power over Christians. We therefore renew in this canon, on account of the boldness of the offenders, what the Council of Toledo provincially decreed on this matter. We forbid Jews to be appointed to public offices, since, under cover of them, they are very hostile to Christians. Any official so appointed shall be denied commerce with Christians in business and in other matters until he has converted to the use of poor Christians in accordance with the directions of the diocesan bishop, whatever he has obtained from Christians by reason of his office so acquired. And he shall surrender with shame the office which he irreverently assumed. We extend the same thing to the pagans. So pagans aren't off the hook here. Both Jews and pagans, if they were to assume any kind of government office, that would be irreverently assuming it. And so they have to shamefully surrender that office. And remember that the Fourth Lateran Council is the 12th ecumenical council, and as such is considered infallible on matters of faith and morals. Of course, most Catholics today would tell you that these canons of what to do with Jews living in Christian countries, those are not infallible. And since the Catholic Church has conveniently never actually made a list of what's infallible and what's not, I can't really say anything else about this. But look, you, Jesus and whatnot, were saying, isn't it weird that a hero of Protestantism was a raging anti-Semite? Now, you didn't quite say it like that, but yeah, I mean, sure, that is kind of weird, right? But have you looked in the mirror, like, ever? You don't think it's weird that an ecumenical council, like the highest level of authority in the Catholic Church, is also ragingly anti-Semitic? And we can look at other things, too, besides just the Fourth Lateran Council. St. John Chrysostom has a whole series of sermons called Against the Jews. Let's just pull a few quotes from these sermons. In Homily 1 of Against the Jews, Chrysostom calls Jewish people a disease. What is this disease? The festivals of the pitiful and miserable Jews are soon to march upon us, one after the other, in quick succession. The Feast of the Trumpets, the Feast of the Tabernacles, the fasts. There are many in our ranks who say they think as we do, yet some of them are going to watch the festivals, and others will join the Jews in keeping their fasts and observing their fasts. I wish to drive this perverse custom from the church right now. But now that the Jewish festivals are close by and at the very door, if I should fail to cure those who are sick with the Judaizing disease, I am afraid that, because of their ill-suited association and deep ignorance, some Christians may partake in the Jews' transgressions. Once they have done so, I fear my homilies on these transgressions will be in vain. For if they hear no word from me today, they will then join the Jews in their fasts. Once they have committed this sin, it would be useless for me to apply the remedy. So, good Lord, the Judaizing disease, it is a disease to associate with Jews. From later in the same homily, the Jews neither know nor dream of these things, holy things. They live for their bellies. They gape for the things of the world. Their condition is not better than that of pigs or goats because of their wanton ways and excessive gluttony. They know but one thing, to fill their bellies and be drunk, to get all cut and bruised, to be hurt and wounded while fighting for their favorable charioteers. In homily number 2, Chrysostom writes, "And why do I speak of the immorality that goes on there at these Jewish festivals? Are you not afraid that your wife might come back from there after a demon has possessed her soul? Did you not hear in my previous discourse the argument which clearly proved to us that demons dwell in the very souls of the Jews and in the places in which they gather? Tell me then, how do you Judaizers have the boldness, after dancing with demons, to come back to the assembly of the apostles? After you have gone off and shared with those who shed the blood of Christ, how is it that you do not shudder to come back and share in his sacred banquet, to partake of his precious blood? Do you not shiver? Are you not afraid when you commit such outrages? Have you so little respect for that very banquet?" So if you just go and hang out with Jews while they're celebrating, then you should be ashamed, and you shouldn't even come back to a Catholic church because of how outrageous that is. And, God forbid your wife goes, she's going to get possessed. And look, this is just select quotes from the first 2. There are 8 homilies in this series of St. John Chrysostom's homilies against the Jews. Chrysostom is certainly a hero of Catholicism. I mean, he's a canonized saint, but on top of that, he's recognized as a doctor of the church. However,
some of his writings are not exactly what you would expect a hero to write down.
Then there is one more thing in Jesus and Whatnot's video that I want to address. He makes this claim.
However, Luther was much more violent than the Catholics ever were.
Mr. Whatnot, have you heard of the Albigensian Crusade? Pope Innocent III initiated this crusade, and these crusades were particularly violent. This is especially true since it was not easy for the Catholic soldiers to tell a Catholic peasant from an Albigensian heretic peasant. When Arnaud Amalric, Pope Innocent III's papal legate and inquisitor, the general of the papal forces in charge of conquering the Albigensians and ending the heresy, when he was asked how his soldiers should tell a heretic peasant from a non-heretic peasant, he responded, "Caedite eos, novit anum dominus qui sunt eius." Kill them all. The Lord knows who are his. And this is just one example of Catholic violence. So this claim that Martin Luther was
much more violent than the Catholics ever were,
it's just simply not true. To his credit, Jesus and Whatnot does add that this does not disprove Protestantism, but he does make sure to get one last jab in there too.
Now, I'm not saying any of this disproves Protestantism. The Bible takes care of that just fine.
So I'll say the same thing of Catholicism. None of this Catholic violence and Catholic anti-Semitism proves that the Catholic Church is not the one true church. The Bible does this just fine on its own too. But hopefully what I have covered in this video makes Catholic apologists want to take a look in the mirror before accusing Protestants of being uniquely anti-Semitic or violent. Thanks for watching.